Hello students and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this lecture, we will be discussing about the private investment expenditure or the private investment for that matter, and we'll see is the private investment expected to rise or not, and what is the present situation, what is private investment, how does it impact, so on and so forth. So what's the concern presently? The concern is very simple. Of course, it's very big, but very simple, that there is a slowdown in the economy. That does not mean that the economy is not growing, it is growing, but at a slower pace. So there is a slowdown in the economy, the growth has slowed down. At the same time, there is a slowdown in the private investment as well. So one question is that there are certain measures that has been taken by the government in this budget. So will that budget help the investment or the private investment specifically to rise or not, is the question in front of us. So let's dive into this question. So what are the steps that have been taken by the government? The steps include one major step, that is the tax stimulus by removing or reducing, sorry, not removing, of course, reducing the taxes. So tax stimulus through reduction in taxes, the income tax, the slabs have been changed. Up to 12 lakhs you may effectively not be required to pay any taxes whatsoever. That means more money would be in the hands of the people. That is one step. Tax breaks are there. At the same time, a few days after the presentation of budget, the Monetary Policy Committee also came up with the notification of reduction in the repo rate. So RBI has also cut the interest rate for the first time in almost 5 years. Till that it had few years, 5 years, up to 5 years means does not mean it has not changed. For a few years it has not changed at all, but previously there was an increase. Now for the first time, nearly first time in 5 years, the interest rate have gone down. At the same time, our honorable finance minister has said that anecdotal evidences, remember this word anecdotal, not factual, anecdotal means prima facie, by the look of it, by the experience of it, is suggested that there is a pickup in investment activity. Now, why it is such a big concern? Of course, because the private investment has seen a downward trajectory. At the same time, this is happening when the overall investment is growing. So how is the overall investment going and private coming down? Because of the increase in the public investment. So public investment is growing, and overall investment is growing, but the private investment is coming down. So it is not that probably some external factor or something like that. It might be some inherent thing because of which it is going down. We'll see it later. Now, why does private investment matter? See, investment is investment, be it private, be it public. We all know that India needs a huge amount of investment. But why does private investment matter specifically? Is because it will lead to lead to building of physical and human capital. For example, physical capital means the infrastructure, human capital means the human resources, population getting converted into human capital. Of course, it will further help to increase the goods and services that are produced in an economy. What do you need to produce goods and services? Human capital. Population alone does not. Population, when educated, skilled and kept in good health, converts into human capital, which then can produce goods and services. So it will lead to increase in the goods and services. At the same time, the private investment is generally considered to be more efficient. Now, there is an inherent reason for this. This is not private sector versus government sector tussle, who is more efficient. No, not that way. What is meant by this statement is the fact that government has no business to do business. Meaning, the government, when it does certain expenditure, certain investment, there is no profit motive behind it. Of course, there are government banks, the government PSUs, etc. But there are so many other investments by the government. So it does not have investment or profit motive. Railways, for example, profit motive is not there. If it is making profit, that's good. It does not mean that we will strive to make losses. Of course not. But the profit motive is not there. Right? So that kind of thought process is not there, which is present in the private sector. So because of which there will be discipline of profits and losses in the marketplace, which makes it a more efficient investment as compared to the public investment. I hope that's clear. Now, what determines the private investments? So generally, the amount of savings that are deposited by in banks by the ordinary citizens is considered to be loaned out by the banks to someone else. So when you simply saying that if you keep more and more savings in the bank, the more and more savings in the bank means more and more loans given to others. That means what? This is also acting as a private investment. So one thing can be more and more savings with the banks will lead to more and more private investment. However, that is not necessarily the case. Why? Because at times even without creating, or let's say so much of deposit by the people in the bank can still electronically through simple accounting entries deposit money in borrower's account. Just take an example. You know, a lot of you have seen your parents, or probably you yourself are working. So when they've started working, they might have some amount of money in their bank throughout, probably never taken it out. Salary keeps on coming, especially the salary account. It keeps on coming. You don't spend much. You keep on saving. It is there like that, and it stays like that. So what is happening? The amount is staying like that. So is it that the demand deposit money is not used? No, even that is utilized. Okay. At the same time, have you ever seen that money physically? No, it is just a number in your account that you have 10 lakh rupees. Now every month 1 lakh is coming and 25,000 is getting added because you're spending the rest of the 75,000. So this 25,000 keeps on getting added, keeps on getting added. Do they keep on showing you this in physical sense? No, it is just a number which is showing. Probably, actually, in fact, this in physical quantity does not even exist with the bank. That does not mean you will not get the money. The bank plays it smart and analyzes how many people would demand money, so it keeps that much amount and some amount of buffer, but not the entire physically present. It rather loans it out. So these kind of things can be done more efficiently with the bank, so that even with same amount of savings, more and more loans can be given out, increasing the private investment. Now, why was private investment, or why has the private investment being sluggish? We'll see that. So generally people will say that, okay, if more money is in the hand of the people and they save more, there will be more investment. That's not necessarily the case. We'll see that. Before that, many economists have blamed what? Lack of sufficient consumer demand. Lack of sufficient consumer demand for the lack of strong private investment. Okay, so they are saying that unless and until the government does something which provides more money in the hands of the people, how can you expect the investment to increase? Right? So simply speaking, that if you have cut the taxes, now I will have more disposable income, so there will be more private investment. But that is not necessarily the case. Why that is not necessarily the case? It is not necessarily the case. So this is an example. Up to 12 lakhs, it is tax free, no taxes, so money in your hand increases. So now there should be more private investment, but not necessarily the case. Why? Because we need to understand the relationship between consumer spending and private investment. Okay, so what can happen when my disposable income increases? What we Indians are presently doing is, we are not doing investment, we are rather doing expenditure. So expenditure is basically not equal to investment. So that increase in our income is not going majorly towards investment, rather it is going towards expenditure. So this has happened over the last decade. Consumer spending has increased, right? And at the same time, private investment has dropped down. Remember, how was private investment increasing? You are saving your money in the bank, in some other instruments, so that is an investment. But if you are spending recklessly or in any manner whatsoever, let's say for entertainment, for this, that, everything, that money is a recurring or revenue expenditure kind of a thing, recurring expenditure. It is not an investment. So with increase in money, people are spending more and investing less. Or less as in it is remaining the same, it is not growing up to the certain limit. If you're, if let's say you were spending 50 rupees, you are saving 70 rupees, or sorry, let's take a better example, a simple example. So you had 100 rupees salary, you were spending 50 rupees, saving 50 rupees. Now this 50 rupees saved with the bank is like a private investment. Now your salary increase has become 200. Now you should have saved 100 and let's say saved 100 and spent 100. So the investment would have also increased proportionately. But what you're doing is you are spending a lot, let's say 140, and saving just 60. So investment has increased, but not to the tune of the income, and of course not to the tune of the increase in the expenditure, as a result of which we have seen there is sluggishness with respect to the private investment. I hope that is clear. Now to answer, will in the near future India's private investment go up? Now with the budget provision, it looks like it should, but we need to address this phenomena. We need to start nudging the people. Instead of spending more and more, you spend, your salary has increased, you spend, you enjoy, but also focus on investment. The nudging needs to be done. Probably what Warren Buffett has said, don't save what is left after spending, but spend after what is left after saving. If we follow that, if we can have instruments which attracts us so much that we are inclined to do more and more investments rather than expenditure, there is a possibility that India can see increased private investment. And one thing that helps India here is huge amount of population and the ever increasing per capita income of India would, I think that in the near future, and because of the tax cuts, we will definitely see, not definitely, there's nothing definite in economy, but there is a high possibility that we may see an increase in private investment. But many economists will not agree with that. So let's hold on to our horses, and after a couple of quarters, let's see what happens over here. Thank you.